Hello folks, Sinow here, your new home for everything Resident Evil Resistance, and I have been trying to make a kind of full Attack Daniel build that works for me video for a little while now. It's been about 6 days since my last build, and I've been kind of testing out some things on Daniel to get him to the point where I'm really happy with how this build works. And I've managed to come up with something where I have tons of attack as him, but I still also have fairly tanky creatures in order to win your games. This is the result of some extensive testing, and I hope that this build can help all of you out there who may be struggling to use Daniel. He's not necessarily the strongest mastermind, but I've had some fairly good results with this current build that I'm going to show you today. So let's get right into it. First of all, we're using Brutality for Tyrant. It's just a bit more reliable, I think, over Wind Up, although if you're some sort of like Wind Up king, go for it. It's not really integral to the build, but I usually use Brutality because it's just a little bit more consistent. Then for your Bloodlust passive, we're sticking with Rend here. This means that not only the creature you're controlling, but any creature that you can control does greatly increased damage when they get a successful grab off on a survivor. With the attack equipment that we're using in this build, you usually do over 700 damage when you successfully grab them, which is usually about like 2 hits and you get a KO, and I find this is very strong actually, and I really like using it. Then finally we use Endurance so that you can play Daniel without wanting to tear your hair out, so you can actually enjoy your time with this video game perhaps. Then for your Area 2 creature we have Dealer Regen. I find Dealers really difficult to use unless there's like a sort of straggler who's off by themselves, but if you do get the Dealer grab down, it's a lot of damage and it's a really nice time for you basically as a Daniel player. And finally we have Armored Zombie, who is the GOAT. I love him. He is a great creature to use. Really nice candidate for you to control and do tons of damage. If they particularly are using a lot of firearms, they're going to have a hard time taking out Armored Zombie. Then for your equipment, we're using Razor Claws 3, Razor Claws 2, Resilient Skin 3, and then with your last point, Electric Cable 1, which slightly increases your activation speed. This means that you can hop into zombies a bit quicker. I'll explain the Resilient Skin 3 in a minute here, but you're doing a lot of damage with these Razor Claws. It's also about 164 damage per swipe when you control a zombie, and if you do a 3-hit combo with that, it's easily you doing over 400 damage. And remember, with your increased grab damage and your increased claw damage, you're also doing a lot of infection. So you infect survivors particularly quickly with this build, and that also increases the amount of time that they lose. Remember, it's also 15 seconds per successful grab, and it also takes away some of their HP when they cough. So that's really nice, and I'll discuss a little bit more about like the best time to grab later on during the kind of game footage. Finally, here's the deck. We're using Crawling Zombie and Zombie Infectious. Reminder that these only give survivors 5 seconds when they're killed now rather than 10, which makes them a little bit more economical. We are using 2 infectious creatures here to also help us out with getting as much infection down on survivors as possible. And Tough Zombie and Tough Zombie Infectious, these are kind of your bread and butter. You'll probably be able to do most of your work when it comes to just attacking survivors if you control one of these 2. Then we have Efficiency Mod creatures. We have Air Cannon. Air Cannon is quite nice because not only can you interrupt a survivor picking up another survivor who's downed, you can use it to like knock a survivor into a zombie grab or claw, or knock them back into a room where you have a couple of zombies, hop into a zombie and then grab them if you're particularly fast. So with a little bit of practice, Air Cannon can be surprisingly useful. Then we have Quick Draw. This is to help us get to and from enhancers when we need them. Enhancer Regen and Enhancer Berserker and Tracker Mine. So there are 3 primary reasons why I've decided to use Enhancer Regen over Energy Leech. The first reason is that I find quite a lot of the time as Daniel, the thing that's stopping me from being able to actually like do damage or make my zombies useful is with Endurance preventing a lot of the kind of more normal knockback. I find that what prevents me doing the damage is taking a lot of damage very quickly. Like a flurry of kind of Becca hits or a flurry of kind of Samuel doing melee damage. A lot of the time, it's not being able to survive long enough to kind of get the claw attacks down is what really stops me. And that's one of the reasons why I thought it's kind of important to make your zombies a bit more tanky. And also with the enhancer regen, you're constantly getting HP back. This can be quite useful not only when you're using claw attacks, but when you're in the middle of a grab animation. Sometimes it gives you just that little extra second in order to actually get the animation off on like a normal zombie before it dies. You'll find that in general this becomes a little bit more useful past area 1. Remember that creature HP scales per area, so I think in area 2 it's like 30% extra, and then for area 3 it's 50% extra to your base maximum HP. And then Resilient Skin 3 is an extra 21%, and then you have regen on top of that, and you're using tough zombies a lot of the time anyway that have quite a lot of HP as it is. So I find that that's one of the reasons why it makes it more useful to use this. The second reason is you spend a lot of time controlling zombies with this build, and I found that with Energy Leech, I had a lot of time sat at 10 bioenergy that I wasn't using. I'd hop out of the zombie and then I'd feel kind of weirdly compelled to like chuck down lots of zombies really quickly and then go back into a zombie again. And what would happen in these situations is I feel like with Daniel, the zombies you're not controlling, it's very easy for survivors to pick them off and get time from it. You're not like a net where all your creatures kind of innately have this like horde HP buff, you know, where it's really easy to make them kind of worthwhile. With Daniel, a lot of the time the zombies that you're not controlling just don't really work out very well. And when I was using a full Attack Daniel build plus Energy Leech, I had these situations where I kept feeling obliged to summon down zombies, then I'd try and control them. I wouldn't live long enough to actually get much damage off sometimes unless the survivors weren't very good. And then I try and summon more zombies then quickly to use up my bioenergy, and I was just feeding them time more. I don't know, maybe it's because I have like a slightly different playstyle, but I figured like what's the point of watching these build videos if I just feel compelled to put in what I think is like the most meta choices rather than what personally works for me. It's just less interesting, like what's the point then? So that's the second reason why I'm using Enhancer Regen and Resilient Skin. I just think that overall it suits my playstyle more, and because you're controlling creatures so much, you don't have to wait for bioenergy as much if you're using them correctly. The third reason why I'm using Enhancer Regen is that it allows you to do YORICK Cheese. So for those of you who don't know what YORICK Cheese is, it's when you use Enhancer Berserker and Enhancer Regen on the security guard zombie in area 2, which the community affectionately dubs Yorick, and then you run around the level, closing doors behind you as you go to waste as much time for the survivors as possible. It should be pretty obvious that having the ability to regen HP over time makes this work, because if they get a couple of hits onto you but then they can't really catch up to you and they have to keep running, you naturally regen the HP back up again pretty quickly. Which makes this quite an annoying strategy. It's very difficult for survivors to deal with this. Even quite good survivors sometimes struggle with it. Some of the things that do counter this are Martin. His mines and his fever skill are quite good at stopping this. Theoretically, Tyrone's kick should be good at stopping this, but I find that you move so quickly that a lot of the time actually the Tyrone will whiff and just not connect the hit, so it doesn't work. Jill's rockets, if she hits you with multiple rockets, like kind of particularly around your head, you might die too quickly to be able to kind of get back up and start running again. Valerie's debuff, if she managed to headshot you, will take off your buffs. That's bad, obviously. And a flashbang. So one of the reasons why this works quite well though is that as you close doors behind you as you go, it's surprising how often survivors will miss a flashbang against you. For instance, in this clip here. Okay, I might regret going into this area. She's got this. Hi Jill, what's up? It's a shame you don't have your rocket launcher, huh? It's a viable strat. Oh, they missed a flashbang! Oh my god, they missed the flashbang. She DC'd! So yes, that's the third reason I'm using Enhancer Regen, is that it's hilarious to run around the level as Yorick and waste as much time as possible for survivors. One tip I would give is that you're not using Vampire with Yorick, so try not to attack survivors too much, especially with grabs. However, a quick claw here and there to apply some infection and then start running again can really help make the time wasting aspect more potent, because of course if they stop to cough, they are slower and then they lose HP and time as well. And I find that this works particularly well. So that is the build that we have here, and that is the reasons why I've decided to use Enhancer Regen and Resilient Skin 3. Of course, if you prefer Energy Leech and you find that you're just running out of energy and it's not working for you, by all means do go ahead and change it. I always encourage people to change things up for your own playstyle, or perhaps, for instance, I now have a PlayStation 4 copy of this game, and I'm getting more used to how the meta is slightly different on the PlayStation 4 because of like the way you aim and not being able to mash to get out of a mobilizing shot as quickly, etc. So yeah, do change things up if you think certain things might suit your playstyle more. But that is the build in a nutshell, and I think I would like to give you extra gameplay tips while we watch some of myself playing. This is post-commentary like I mentioned earlier. Actually, no, I didn't mention that earlier. This is post-commentary, so this is me commentating on the games after I've actually played them, to sort of review my own footage here, and I'll hopefully give you some tips as we go along. So, enjoy. Okay, so here is my first recorded game. This one's quite short. So there's two games in this video that I'll show you guys. There's a Tyrone, Becca, Jill, Valerie. This is probably one of the most meta comps out there at the moment. Tyrone is going to be a pain to deal with if he keeps kicking zombies when I go for attacks. So look out for that. There you go. Summon down a couple of zombies here. Some regen down. You'll find that Area 1 tends to be a bit rough with this build, so
you found a lock. But where is
don't go too crazy if things aren't working out. Just try and kind of play for the attacks that you can get off. I'm going for the claws here because I know that I can't really get a grab off. Or at least I didn't think I could, but the Becca is using a mup, which is weird because usually if she has a quick draw, zombies just don't live long enough for you to get attacks. Down. So this zombie here is still alive, and it seems like the Valerie hasn't noticed that really. So I thought I'd try and harass her and get back up and attack from behind. The zombie in the door there, to say that he's brain dead would be a kindness. He just did nothing as she walked in. So I gave up very quickly. I was like, oh, screw it. But she does seem to be hinting that she wants to run off by herself because it's Abandoned Park Area 1. It wouldn't be Abandoned Park Area 1 without somebody running off by themselves. So I decide to grab her. As she tries to open the door, hop into the second zombie, grab again, because she's coughing, she can't avoid, and she's down. Easy. When you grab somebody on the stairs, it does a different animation where they fall over immediately, and I find this is actually quite useful for us. It works in our favor. Then I try and use a tough zombie to kind of cut off the rescue party here. Do a little kind of door play. I waited a little second there before I closed the door to try and isolate Tyrone. Unfortunately, he gets the kick off. Then I'm like, okay, Becca's still using them up. So I just sort of harass her and get some infection down in her. But I see that Tyrone uses his ultimate or fever skill. She starts to run away, so I'm like, ugh, whatever. Taking too long. I haven't got all day. So back to the zombies on the stairs, which are still alive, by the way. Remember, they have regen too. More claw attacks down. Valerie's weak here. 164 per slice. Go for the grab, because a lot of the time if you're going to grab someone, make it the Tyrone, because he has the kick. And if you grab someone else, he'll just kick you. So in those situations, you want to grab Tyrone. Jill's accuracy seems to be off. I'm not really sure. That's two down. I'm not sure if I should have went for the grab there, but I managed to get it off, which was nice.
Use it as a learning experience. Let's go.
So Tyrone used second wind there. I managed to grab Jill from behind. Remember, grabs from behind are immediate, which makes them very, very useful. And they're already in overtime. They couldn't even make it through the left loop. And that's all because Valerie ran off ahead of the group, and it kind of put them on the back foot. But did you notice there how I did quite a lot of damage with just like 1 or 2 zombies, and having the zombies in the background regen their health back up meant I could bounce back to them at a later point, rather than summoning tons of creatures and having them come into the room. Like I was saying earlier, I find less creatures with more effect tends to work a little bit better for this. But that was not a lot of footage to show you guys there after that short game against Mup Becca. So let's go on to the second one, which is a lot more exciting. Okay, so game number 2 here. I've gone up against a couple of these survivors before, and I think 1 or 2 of them play as like a kind of friend stack, so I know that they're pretty good. Martin and Tyrone are just horrible when it comes to stuns to play against, because their stuns also go through your passive ability. No, the only thing I hate more than Martin and Tyrone actually is Arsenal January if she gets lucky and she buys a spark shot, because at that point I yearn for death, honestly. If I'm playing as Daniel and they have a spark shot, I just yearn for death. It's horrible. I really think that they should maybe consider like nerfing how good spark shot is against Daniel in particular. It's too easy for them to shut you down repeatedly.
You found a lock, but where is the key?
Okay, so I'm kind of just like weighing up my options at this point here. I'm using a preset, by the way, the same preset that I used in the Infection Nikolai video, if you watched that, and if you didn't, then maybe you should go watch it, so that you know what my preset is. But it's basically a lot of infectious zombies behind doors. Again, I kind of see the Tyrone, and I predict that there would be too much damage, so I started to just go for the kind of aggressive claw play. And once again, I was wrong, because it was just 2 mups, rather than like a kind of flurry of damage, which I was expecting. Never mind. I need to try and ascertain if the Valerie has debuff passive on. I assume that she does. Quite a lot of damage on Tyrone there from 1 grab though. They're bunching up here, which is quite nice sometimes to do extra damage, if you can hit them repeatedly. I got unlucky there. Valerie used her grenade on me. I thought she was going to run out of the room. I tried to lock her in, but she's too fast for me and she gets the 10 seconds, so I decide instead to defend against Martin with General Manchi. He's clever though, he's waiting for his allies to come back him up, which is actually very smart of him, laying down the mine as well. I have my air cannon equipped. I couldn't really do much with it, and the grab got interrupted there, so it didn't really work out for me. I stood in the mine. But they did step on the tracker, so that was good. I find that survivors get a bit sloppy, but if they know that you're only using tracker mines, they tend to just not care. So sometimes that could be a free little extra bit of time taken off. Plus now I can see how far through the loop they are, like running wise, without having my map up all the time too. It's nice, I like it.
He feels no pain.
Managed to set up a nice little phalanx here with a little bit of social distancing in the background. Not too crazy though. Again, letting 1 or 2 through and then slicing and closing the door. Trying to go for the back line a little bit. Get some infection down. So I thought the Tyrone might kick me or run away there, so I just went for the grab. They're already low on time. And I didn't really think that trying to summon a new zombie there would be a good idea. They'd probably take it out, so I thought maybe I can chase them with this one. But I'd already kind of given up on the area one. I'd done my damage. They're playing pretty well though.
Let us see how much further.
So I make a really big mistake here. See if you can spot the mistake coming up. I know it's not playing the dealer regen zombie, although it does feel like a mistake increasingly these days. She's kind of a big gamble, somewhat fittingly.
For the ones you love, it is best you do not live here.
So putting down Enhancer Berserker, and then I'm like, I should have put regen on Yorick! What was I thinking? Huge mistake. Wasted a Yorick play. I also didn't mean to use that air cannon. I was quite tired when I recorded this, so I messed up, but still managed to get into Yorick, running away now.
You understand me.
And Martin uses his fever skill there, which is great for me. I see Valerie going over here. So I open the door up. And then during the grab animation, I decide to slice her. But once again, she's used a grenade. And she like pushed the zombie into me, which does like a huge amount of stun. And I tried to close the door there and it just wouldn't. So I got hit by the grenade, sadly. If you're trying to do combination grabs on survivors, be wary that like they'll kind of push the survivor off them in the direction they're facing, and you should try not to get hit by that with the second zombie, because if one zombie gets pushed into another zombie, it's like a really long stun animation. So she took off my berserk there, so I decided to just go for damage with Yorick rather than trying to run away.
Some dead person.
And then I go for a kind of ill-advised tyrant.
And trench coat.
I don't think I should have done this, but I'm wasting time. Honestly, I think Tyrant is the worst BOW now. I think it's worse than Yataveo. I really do. Useless. So I decided to just sit outside the safe room door, because at the very least I can't catch Martin. He's gonna just door cheese me. He's got the supply zombie already. But Tyrone has the key card. I can waste like an extra 30 seconds by just standing in front of the door, and that's like equivalent to a kill. So not the worst thing in the world, but it's not exactly the most exciting gameplay. I find Mr. X so slow and lumbering now. He's very hard to use. Effectively. Honestly, give me Yataveo. I used the tracking thing right at the end though to apply some tracking in case the zombie gets lucky. Right.
Meet the biter. It likes
I was gonna try and set up here, and Martin unfortunately has a spark shot
perfect machine for this
from the supply, which is the worst outcome for me. The zombie manages to grab Jill. She goes to red health, which I was like, really? Okay. Weighing up my options, I decided to just leave that room at the top. It's too late. They're gonna come in and kill zombies and just get time. So I thought, let's set up this room in advance. And I think that's a very, very important skill as a mastermind, is knowing when to give up on a certain objective or area, so that you don't feed time. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I consistently see masterminds make, and I still make that mistake too. Sometimes you just need to be like, you know what? They have the advantage here. Anything I try and do won't work. So I give up. Trying to space out the zombies a bit, but Martin's fever is probably coming back up now. I'm trying to get rid of a mine here. There you go. They weren't quite ready to go into the room there, and I managed to like use up a lot of the mine's efficacy period. Spark shot comes out though. Jill gets grabbed by a crawling zombie after being hit by a tracker mine. Does a lot of damage to her. But unfortunately, Tyrone's fever was on. Martin's down. Martin is just... oh man. Zombie chow with that low health.
This one I call the dripster.
Jill's annoying me. She's just kind of standing there. Valerie's aiming at the camera because she's clever. I went for the grab here. Not a good idea. He still has spark shot bullets. So I kind of decided to try and summon a zombie outside the room, because I figured that if I try and use the camera in the room, it won't work out. For some reason, Martin, I grab him, but he gets off a little bit of the animation for the spark shot, which stuns me. I think that was just latency. But that was very unfortunate for me. I see the zombie gets the grab, so I use air cannon and Martin to interrupt him, so that the grab is successful. I was going to put the IV in here, but I figured it might be better for me to put it outside as like a surprise, and set up some backup for it, so it's more likely to at least do like a kind of, at least grab them. It may not be successful, but it'll harass them. Tyrone running off into the corner here. I think Tyrone just forgot he had the key card, which, to be honest with you, I've been there, so I understand. I was gonna try and stun him or use the air cannon on him, but the Valerie's kind of all over the camera, so you know what? Let her waste some bullets. Whatever. As long as I don't feed her time. They're already pretty low. I love that music. Hundreds of hours and I still love the music. The zombie does its job, goes for the grab animation. I control it to make sure it gets the grab off successfully with the passive endurance. And then I try and attack Martin, who already has a sledgehammer. They're quite well fed, this team. Valerie has Lightning Hawk. Martin has Sledgehammer. I think they might be using the Money Val build that I posted up. Dealer Zombie manages to get the grab off, which I'm surprised by. The Revenge of Mr. X. Not quite. So I decided to try my luck. Nice. I have to admit, that was pretty good if I do say so myself. That's 2 down. So they're going to stand on the exit and they'll get to the next area, but with a lot less time than they could have. So not bad for an area 2. I couldn't prevent them completely, but they only have 90 seconds.
Still not dead.
We can win this.
Hey, that's Phil.
If that is a Money Val, then they're probably playing as a 4-stack. So I make a mistake here as well. I overly stack this room with zombies, and this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, about the zombies that you can actively control as Daniel not really having that much value a lot of the time. Too many zombies in this room that they can all just take out with like Martin's Fever skill, and it's free time. Big mistake. Way too easy. There you go. Brain power. 5, 40, 30. I don't know how they take them out that quickly. Rocket maybe? Big mistake. On my part. Huge mistake.
Progress, but such little progress.
This poor zombie, I think one of his arms broke. It's really weird how sometimes like the zombies' body parts break. So try and set up a little bit in this room. I don't have a lot of energy, but I figure after the earlier mishap, stick to the basics, you know, get the infection down. I see an opportunity to grab Valerie on the stairs here. Ill-advised dealer spawn. Tyrone's gonna be all over it. Bad idea.
He feels no pain. The perfect machine for this endeavor.
Making 1 or 2 mistakes at this point now, which is kind of costing me the game. But I managed to actually grab Jill. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I couldn't get off the whole animation, but that's 25 seconds I took off her pretty quickly there. So sometimes dealer works out. If I get a grab here, I can win. And the grab missed. At least the tracker main hit, but gosh, I was pretty upset about that one. They got a lot of damage down on the core. 5 seconds, I just can't stop them. She's got the healing down, which is really frustrating for me. I'm punching away. I was hoping a zombie would grab, but no. So all I can do here is just like keep swinging. I couldn't prevent the core going down, but Martin and Tyrone are gone. And I know that Tyrone with second wind, or Valerie, well, she's already used her fever skill, right? I just don't want any mishaps. So I decide to sit on top of them, but I can't prevent them opening the door. So they're going to lose a minute when these two die. So it's a race against the clock. What will happen first? Their deaths? Or will the door open?
Time is running out for you, my friends.
What an exciting finish. Is the door gonna open? It's very close. Here we go. Right at the last second. The door opens, but it's too late for them. They could have ran away if they had like 1 or 2 extra seconds worth of time, but unfortunately, GG. That was a really exciting game for me. And I'm very pleased because I think that actually is a 4-stack of quite competent players. And I managed to win as Daniel, even with Martin, Tyrone, and the Martin getting a spark shot. That is not an easy team to fight as Daniel, and to me that's proof that this build has something to it. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that you get the opportunity to try out the build yourself and maybe cause some damage, get a couple of wins under your belt. Let me know how it goes for you. Anyway, regardless, this has been Sinow. Thank you for watching and take care.